What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative. And before we get into our regularly scheduled programming of what I read this week, I have a few changes that you're going to be seeing over the coming weeks. What I mean by changes, I am restructuring the content for the channel because I have a whole lot less time to spend reading and editing and all of that. So I'm going to have even less time. What I'm going to have to do is just restructure content to still get everything out there. It's just going to be in a more condensed version. I'm still going to be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to do everything to still keep everything going with the limited time that I have. Whew. That was a mouthful. Let's talk about what all is going to be happening this weekend. So tomorrow, Saturday, April 30th, 1 p.m. Eastern, there will be a live show here on the Nerdy Narrative for the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, which is the first pick for the Wine and Crime book club that I started. I'm very excited to talk about it. I will share my non-spoiler thoughts and ratings, and I'll ask the same of everyone in the chat from the book club. So that way, if you haven't read it, you're on the fence about it, maybe you can get a reading from all of us, as far as our level of enjoyment with this thriller, and see if it's one that you might be interested in. Now on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the channel Feeney Reads, we're going to have a live show for the third book in the Green Rider series, The High King's Tomb. As always, links to all of this are going to be down in the description box below. Now let's get into what all I read this week. I finished The Wolf of Oren-Yaro by K.S. Veloso. Even though her narrative style was telling instead of showing for the majority of this book, and when I say majority, I mean 95% of this book was the main character telling us things, I still really loved the story. I'm curious to see if the format of telling instead of showing continues in the subsequent books in the series. I don't see how it can. I feel like we got all of the history and build up as to how we got to where we are. I feel like everything forward is going to be strictly showing, but we'll find out. Love this book. I absolutely cannot wait to continue the series, which I'll be doing as soon as I can. I also started and finished The Free Bastards by Jonathan French, which is the third book in the Lotlands trilogy. It was okay. It was not the ending for this trilogy that I wanted. I was a little disappointed. The first book was good, the second book was fantastic, and this one was boring. There were about 3 really great scenes, events that happened in this story I liked. I also did not like the ending. This series is, I would put it on the end of the spectrum as grimdark fantasy, closer to that. He just put a shiny red bow on everything, and I was not a fan. He had the opportunity to do something that would have been more in line with how I thought it would end, and he chose not to do it, and I was like, you should have. So, I continued the Dublin trilogy by Caoimhe MacDonald, The Day That Never Comes. Oh my goodness, this series is such a delight. I still like the Stranger Times series by him more, but this one, this is his crime thriller series, and our characters from the first one are back. We have an addition to the team. I still feel that even though Bunny McGarry didn't have quite as large a role in this one, where he was, it was just always my favorite part. I love Bunny McGarry. He is just a character you can't help but have a good time with when you're reading about him. And so that takes care of all of the things that I finished. What am I currently reading? I picked up Zora Neale Hurston's Seraph on the Swanee, and I just got sucked right in. I think I cleared 100 pages last night. When I read the first couple of chapters, I was getting so tickled, and I was thinking, this is going to be a really fun story. Chapter 3, I kind of went to war with myself. I was not sure how I felt about something Zora did in that chapter. And it was just that one chapter, and it's not really addressed past then. At least it hasn't been in the 4 chapters I've read after that one. So I'm not sure if that's going to play a role later in the story of Arve and Jim, but I'm curious. I'm just not sure how to feel about it. And you all, if you haven't read it, I can't talk to you about it. If you have read it, please let me know in the comments where I can find you to talk about it. And then again, it may get explained later on in the story. But it is about these 2 young people. Arve Henson, she's 21, kind of considered a bit of an old maid because she's unmarried. And Jim Meserve, he's 26, I believe, and he's a very handsome young man, and he set his sights on Arve. But Arve did not want to get married. She wanted to be a missionary. And so when other young men would still try and court her, even though she wanted to be a missionary, she would have these fits, and oh my goodness, Jim had her number, and it was so funny. It's been such a delight to read about their story, except for chapter 3. I am so wrapped up about what happened in chapter 3. Like, that is just a very unresolved issue with me. And now I'm going to tie in some of my short stuff that I read, and that's Zora Neale Hurston's You Don't Know Us Negroes and Other Essays. This is a collection of nonfiction essays that Zora wrote, and it has taught me so much. In fact, it's really enriched my reading of her fictional work because I've learned so many things about Black folk culture from these essays, and that she's illustrating what she's teaching us here. She's illustrating in her fiction, and it's just made so much better. I'm just understanding more of what she's put in here, and I'm sure when I reread her other works that I've already read, I'm going to make better connections and just have a better understanding of what is actually taking place. So that was really exciting to me. And I guess I'll just segue into my short stuff that I read. I'm not going to do a dedicated short fiction Saturday video this week. What I'm deciding to do is, originally when I decided to read a short story every day, I was just going to post that on my social media with a brief little mini review, and then once I finish the entire collection that I'm working on, then I will do a dedicated review on that collection and just tell you about the stories and my mini reviews so you can determine if that is a collection for you. So instead of reading from 20 different collections in a month, I'm going to pick one, I'm going to work my way through it, and then I'll do a dedicated review on that collection. So that way I can give you an overview on the entire collection instead of just one story here and one story there, because by the time I read the last story, you might have forgotten about the others in the collection to know if that's one you might want to pick up. So if you don't follow me on social media, I have all of my contact information in the description box down below if you want to flip through and see all of the short stuff that I read this week. Now, as far as what I'm going to read next, that is going to be Song of Echoes by R.E. Palmer. And this is one I accepted for review from the author. When I read the information about it on Goodreads, it sounded like one that would be right up my alley. And of course, it's the first book in a series, and you guys know I love to read series. All that has gone before is woven into the song. Joy, sorrow, kind acts, cruel acts, creation and destruction. Past, present, and what is yet to come make themselves known, if you know how to listen. For 300 years, the people of the 5 realms have lived in relative peace, protected by their great leader, the Archon. Yet far to the north, in the frozen lands beyond the Dragdalen Trench, the Rookster, driven by a rising evil, long believed banished from the world. But rumors questioning the Archon's ability to defend the realms once more persist. Elodie, the Lady Harlan, uneasy in her new role following the death of her father, and Torin, a farm worker and outsider in his village, must discover a way to fight an enemy that all but defeated their ancestors. Right away from that book description, there are 2 tropes in it that this fantasy girl loves. The farm boy trope, and then we have the whole rising evil that everybody thought was dead. I'm very excited to read this, and I look forward to updating you guys on that progress next week. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you all have had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to having a good weekend. Don't forget about the 2 live shows I'm going to be a part of. Y'all come see me and say hello. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.